Hey guys, it's Alex Riley. Welcome back to the Hand of the Day. Today's question comes from Tony, who writes, I go to Vegas often for a week at a time and play the 1-3 and 2-5 no limit game at Aria. I usually start off great. Big wins crush the game. Then after playing for 11 plus hours, I tend to give it all back, which is depressing. Yes, it is. So I guess my question is, how do you know when to stop your session? Or what's a good rule of thumb when it comes to getting up and leaving the games? It seems to be my biggest flaw because I just can't seem to leave. Tony, your problem is not leaving, okay? Your problem is stopping. It's a difference. Think on that for a second, all right? The hard part is not quitting the game. It's getting up from the table. Okay, there's a separation there. That instant is where the difficulty lies. The hardest part is not walking outside once you are away from the table, right? It's not posting your big blind. And there's a big difference. And you got to think and meditate on that for a second, where that difference is and how your energy changes from when you are convincing yourself to post your big blind or how much harder it is in that moment to just take those chips and not do it, then how much easier it is once you are at the cashier to then walk out. When you're at the cashier, you're not going to turn around and walk back to the table. It's not hard to quit, right? Once you're at the cashier, it's hard to not post your big line. So let's stop and take a minute back and identify the actual catalyst, okay, of the problem, the actual moment where the problem is its inception. Okay, so that is something to think on, and because you are now aware of where that problem lies, you can identify that, and you could start to notice that feeling coming up in your future sessions. Right, you are going to now notice because you are aware. Awareness is the first step to recovering from any problem. If you are an alcoholic, you have to admit you are an alcoholic to be aware of your alcoholism to stop. Right. So, not to compare you to an alcoholic. I'm sorry if that's what you took away from it. Don't take that away from it. But this awareness now you are going to take into your poker games. And when you notice yourself wanting to post that big blind, eventually that notice is going to turn into action. Once you have enough pain from realizing I shouldn't have posted my big blind, and the pain is going to be increased because you now noticed that you shouldn't have posted. And you could look back on the times that you did it and say, shit, that was the time that I noticed I shouldn't have posted it and I did it anyway. And that's going to frustrate you even more, which is going to lead to a change in behavior. Change in behavior happens when you get to a point where the pain is so great. I don't mean physical, I just mean emotional struggle and frustration is so great that change is easier than being stuck in the same bad habit. And that is going to happen to you soon. I know that sounded harsh, but that's just the mechanism that happens. It's not a personal thing. It happens to me too. It happens in any behavioral change pattern that anybody wants to do. That's just the underlying cause of it, okay? It's not a personal thing. It's nothing to be upset about. Secondly, you have to admit that 11, you already admit that 11, you write to me right here, 11 plus hours. You identify 11, all right? 11 is a pretty arbitrary number. So is your benchmark. So my obvious question is, why don't you just quit at 10? When you know that 11 plus hours is the moment that you are now slopping off and tapering off, okay? I know that's easier said than done. So I'm going to give you a strategy to do it. You're going to set a rule, right? You know the time. You have identified the problem, right? Use classical conditioning to punish yourself. Set a rule, and I would set the rule at 8, but use classical conditioning to punish yourself. If I don't quit, this is the punishment for my behavioral pattern. So you're essentially forcing yourself to quit. You don't want to give away $20,000 to charity every time you don't quit, because that's not helping you enough to have intrinsic motivation to change your behavior. That's just an external force, an authoritative force to change. You want to classically condition yourself to change. You want to fail sometimes, succeed most of the time. So maybe what you could do is make a friendly bet with a friend. If I don't quit, I'm going to pay you a big blind. So it's like maybe you'll stay, but maybe you won't, And you want to use this as a positive energy to change, to promote change, right? So classical conditioning could be anything, but you want to reward yourself for quitting, punish yourself when you don't. Figure out your own system that works. The second thing to consider here is really that 8 hours is what I would use as a benchmark, because it's way before that moment of 11 starts to taper off. Because if you were pushing 10, depending on your energy and the mood, you could already be at the point of exhaustion, of frustration, of when you start to make mistakes because you're tired, right? That's the cause of those mistakes that happen after that period of 11 hours. So 8 hours is a long time. So stop before your play deteriorates. And the reason 8 is the number I would pick is it's 3 hours before, but objectively, even if you said you could go for 15, 8 hours is a long time to do any task, right? And you're not doing a random, it's a long time to do anything. It's a long time to sleep. If you're lucky, you sleep 8 hours, you're not doing anything. But it's a long time to be engaged in what it takes to succeed at poker, which is high level mental activity, right? You're playing chess. It's hard to play chess for 8 hours. It's hard to do geometrical problems for 8 hours. It's hard to do analytical thinking for 8 hours, right? And that's what you need to be doing to succeed, right? So that's you have to be aware of that, and you have to be, 8 hours is extremely impressive. When you tell people I play poker, the first thing they say is, how do you stay at the table so long? So be proud of the fact that you can play 8 hours and you stop at 11. I mean, you're human, man. I'm human. That's tough, okay? So cut it off at 8, all right? The last thing is keep a motivator going here, right? This is a little bonus material here. Keep a motivator when you're playing. Ask yourself, why am I playing this session, all right? Let's say you're playing 8 hours, you want to extend to 11. Do you really need to play 3 more hours to get your fun in, to have your fun playing poker, to put in the hours that you want to play to improve, to work on what it is you're working on in your game, to work on your personal development, to build your character through your poker, to work on discipline and strengthening your mind, whatever it is you're trying to work on through your poker, whatever it is you're trying to better yourself in through your practice of poker, your meditation of playing poker, do you really need that extra 3 hours? So check in with your motivator, find out why you're playing, and be checking in with yourself, okay? Because you're going to find that after 8 hours, you're going to accomplish everything you need to do. Got it? Short and sweet. Tony, I just acted. Now it's on you. Peace.